just really excited for the guys to get another win under their belt, a tough road win in a tough environment. Weather was something else. I've played in some windy games over the years with my background in West Texas, but that was one of the, if not the windiest I've ever been a part of, and played a huge role in the game and how that went. And just really excited to get out there with the W. I feel like you got to be 14 points better than your opponent to win on the road in this league. And then when you lose a coin toss, in my opinion, in a windy game like that 30 miles an hour plus stiff winds, if you lose a coin toss, that's a 14-point swing against you in terms of you're going to be behind from the jump. So I felt like we did all we could and made the plays we had to make to get out there with a win, and just really, really excited about that. Kept us perfect in WAC play, kept us number one in the power rankings for the AQ automatic qualifying spot out of the ASUN WAC partnership, I guess you'd call it. So a lot of good coming out of that win is a good one for the Lumberjacks, and some great performances there. Xavier Gibson with another school record, most receiving yards in a game. So it's great to see him do that. Jarrell Wembley had a really nice day running the ball, career high for him, and just some really good individual performances and big plays throughout that game. And fortunate and happy to get us a W, get to 5-3, and now we turn our attention to the Trailblazers, another Utah team. Utah Tech, as they're known now, and they're coming to town for homecoming, and it'll be a tough one. You know, they're 1-6 right now. If you look at their record and think we're going to whip them, you'll be sorely disappointed, because they've played the toughest schedule in FCS football, and have a really good football team. They gave us all we wanted out there last year. Rushed for nearly 200 yards against us. We were lucky to get a win. I felt the same way leaving Saturday as I did leaving Dixie State last year in St. George. So I know they're going to be ready to play. They were 19 yards away from beating Sam Houston this past Saturday, which ought to tell you a little bit about them. And so we're going to have a great week of preparation, great week of practice, and then go out there and handle business at 2 o'clock on Saturday to hopefully bring home a homecoming win for the Lumberjacks. So that's about it in a nutshell.
Mark, describe what the atmosphere is like at an SFA homecoming game.
Well, it's we've had a little bit of everything here. My 3 years, one of them being a COVID year, so that kind of dampened the crowd a little bit. But the 2 previous years, in 2019 we weren't real good. Still had a great crowd, and then last year had a terrific crowd. So it's awesome to see everybody come back. There's so many alums and fans and former students that maybe aren't even fans that come back for whatever organization or event, but homecoming is centered around the football game, and that's what I tell our team. Don't get distracted with all the events going on. There's one event that we're in charge of, and that's the football game. We got to make sure we win the football game, and so I think we'll do that. But it's a wild environment just because it's a packed house, and I expect nothing less this Saturday. I think we're going to have great weather, and so should be a really good crowd, much like that first one maybe, or even bigger, and we're going to need it. We've won 13 in a row here at home, and working on 14, and the fans have a big role in that in terms of the home field environment and advantage that they create for us. So I need everybody to show up, come early, stay late, be loud while you're here, and hopefully we can all enjoy an SFA Lumberjack win.
Yeah, Coach, I was watching the game on ESPN Plus this weekend, and you're talking about the wind and everything. How did that affect much of your play calling or the game, like strategy or anything?
100%. It affects everything you do. I was real pleased with Trey. He actually was, I think, 10 of 14 throwing the ball into the wind. I thought he did a really nice job managing it. It completely crushes your kicking game, and that it also provides some opportunities in the kicking game. And as you saw that, we rolled the dice, as some would say, with a couple plays. Fake punt, 4th and 8 on our own 27, which turned into a 40-yard gain. We're fixing to go down 14-0 if we don't do something there. We started the game with 2 straight 3-and-outs and wasn't real pleased with that. But, Kai Thomas executed that, and the other 10 guys on the field did a great job. That really got us jump-started offensively. We finished that drive and with points to tie it up 7-7, so that was huge. We got the wind back there in the second quarter, and you want to maximize the time you've got the wind. And so we elected to go with a surprise onside, and Dylan Brown made a nice kick and nice recovery, and we scored the next play. So it was make it, take it, and won, as they'd say in basketball. So those were, pivotal plays and decisions. And then, ended up being a really close game there at halftime. We were up by 6, and they won the toss, and so it was their decision to make, and they chose to take the ball. And 99% of the time, when people choose to take the ball, you want them going into the wind. And we elected to give them the ball and the wind to start the second half. And, I could see their other coaches' expression when the officials told them that, because in a close game, I think it's very, very important that you have the win in the fourth quarter. And we held together through that third quarter. The team knew it. I talked to them about it at halftime, what our decision was going to be, and they went out there and played a really good third quarter. Our offense held the ball for 7 minutes on that second drive and really limited their possessions. And so we're only down 1 going into the fourth when we get the win back. And we put it away from there. So I thought, there were a lot of critical decisions had to be made. And I'm not saying the decisions, won the game. It was the players executing and doing what they need to do. But Southern Utah had I think, snapped the ball 71 times in that game. 21 of those snaps were with the wind. The other 50 were against the wind. And that's a tribute to our whole team, offense, defense, and special teams, in terms of flipping the field, holding on to the ball, time of possession. You look at that. They had the ball, or they had the wind, for 30 minutes of that game. Each team gets it for 30 minutes. Well, in those 30 minutes that Southern Utah had the wind, they only possessed the ball 9 minutes and 25 seconds. And so, again, that goes right in line with that snap count I just gave you. The Lumberjacks did a great job controlling the clock, and a lot of that has to do with running the football. Rushed for over 250 yards. Hats off to the offensive line, those tailbacks. The receivers did a great job blocking downfield, and that was really pivotal in getting out of there with a win.
And you kind of mentioned a little bit ago, one of my questions about homecoming, with all of the distractions and everything, is there an added pressure at all to make sure you win in that game because it is homecoming?
No, not really. I'm maybe on the players. I don't know. Just because they wouldn't want to go out to all the homecoming parties a loser. So I guess there's a little bit of pressure there. But it's exciting. A game of football is fun to play. It's a lot more fun to play when there's a bunch of people in the stands. And we've got great support here, always have. Lumberjack Nation shows up for all our sports, and that's what's awesome about this university, this town, the region of East Texas, is they support the Lumberjacks. But it'll be a bigger crowd than normal, and so our guys will be ready to play, and I don't think there's any pressure there. The pressure on them is, just go out there and let's go 1-0 this week. They're playing for a conference championship on Saturday, and if we win that game Saturday, we stay undefeated. We stay first in the league. We stay first in the driver's seat in terms of the playoffs. And so they know what's at stake, and homecoming is just an added bonus.
Yeah. Who are some of Utah Tech's guys you're looking to slow down?
Well, they've got a receiver number 12, a transfer from Washington State. Some of their staff, their offensive coordinator, receivers coach, those guys all came from Washington State. He's one of the conference leaders in receiving touchdowns. He's a stud, and he's going to be hard to slow down. This team's going to throw the ball all over the yard. They've got big splits in their O-line, which does a really good job. They've played a couple quarterbacks. I don't know if they've been banged up or just rotating them, but they do a good job getting the ball out and throwing the ball around. And this is a good athletic team. Defensively, they've got some really good safeties, some guys on the edge that can really rush the passer, some really stout linebackers. So they're a hard-playing bunch and a really good, well-coached football team. And we found out firsthand last year. Like I say, out there that was one of our toughest games, in my opinion, that we played last year. So I've got a lot of respect for Coach Peterson. I feel sorry for him for the schedule he's had. They were a transition team before they joined the wagon, so they had all these, games scheduled with FCS opponents that you really don't want to be playing. I mean, top 10 opponents, and they had about 8 of them or 9 of them scheduled over the next 2 years. Well, then they jumped into the WAC, and they couldn't get out of those contracts, and so they've had to play a WAC schedule plus, some really, really tough opponents. And so they've that still's been hardened a little bit in the fire out there in St. George, Utah, and so they'll come in and we'll have our hands full with the Trailblazers Saturday.
Yeah. And I'm also working on a story on Dorian Williams. What has he brought to the table for your program?
He's awesome. It's been fun to watch him. He was obviously a local kid from Nacogdoches High School, and we got here. He was a redshirt freshman, and we inherited him, and he was a little bit of a knucklehead at times at the jump in a good way. He was never in trouble, but he just got a unique personality but always got a smile on his face, and we have a lot of fun together. But just to watch him mature and grow through the program, and he's paid his dues as a special teams guy, as a backup, and now he's really taken the reins of this defense this fall and done a really good job. He's playing his best football that he's ever played right now, and just doing a really good job as a quarterback of that defense.
What type of leader is he as far as quiet or lead by example or vocal or?
He wants his film to speak for itself, and he takes ownership in what he puts on film and how he plays, and so he leads by example. But he'll also, get after you and get the guys going, before practice or during a game or what have you. His communication's been really good on the field because he's got a lot on his plate. He's got to make a lot of checks and get everybody lined up, and that's where he's probably grown the most in terms of his on the field communication. But he's a good one, and we turned the keys over to him on this defense. He understood what was going on, and I got you, coach. I'm gonna get it done. And he's with a big old smile on his face, some confidence, and he's hit the ground running with that, and really pleased with him, happy for him, because he has paid his dues and worked his tail off, and he's got a lot of support here in this town, and I think a lot of responsibility to represent Nacogdoches High School and this local community well on the field for the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, for sure. A good homecoming before him. So
homecoming times too.
Yep, exactly. So that's all I got, Coach.
One question for you. Kai Thomas, fullback?
Hey, he's leading the nation in yards per carry right now. So obviously we're not handing him the ball enough. I need to talk to the head coach and get that changed. So if Jarrell and Miles Reed don't get the job done Saturday, you may just see big number 97 back there, and we'll just hand the ball off to him and let him go. He's rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, and that old returner came up and had a free run at him, and whoop, he just sidestepped, and the guy didn't even touch him. And so unfortunately that 4.640 he claims he had, I think he was running into the wind. And I think he was the only one on the field that was running into the wind, because everybody else caught him. I think they must have had the wind at their back. But, no, that was a great play by Kai, and really Elkhart, America, just down the road there. So I know all 463 people out there, and that high school were going crazy, or that town were going crazy for that one. So that was fun for him, and he did a great job hanging on the football. You see a lot of times in football, NFL, college, high school guys, when an O-lineman catches the tip ball or a D tackle, ends up with the ball in his hand or D-end, and they end up fumbling it back because they're not used to hanging on to it. And I thought Kai did a great job. Some coaching points that our defensive staff goes over all the time is chinning that ball, and then he felt him come and grab him. He put two hands, locked it up, and main thing is finish with the ball, and he did that. So tickled to death for him, and that thing really that play jump-started our whole team because everybody roots for Kai. I mean, the guy had his ear ripped off against Sam Houston, sewed it back on to his head, taped it up, went out there and played. He's an old bull rider, back in his day before he got to 280 pounds. He used to ride bulls, big rodeo guy, FFA, and he's tough. And so we're glad he's on our team and glad he got a spark there with that fake punt Saturday. Awesome. Thank y'all. Axel.